Alright, it's no secret that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have been having a lot of performance issues, and a lot of people are quick to blame the Nintendo Switch for its, to be quite honest, outdated specs, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I feel like a lot of Pokemon fans will use any excuse they can to justify any issues with the games. Now, disclaimer before we get into this, yes, I am enjoying Pokemon Scarlet and Violet so far, but are they perfect? No. If you're someone who gets offended by the idea of someone not either being 100% positive towards something or 100% negative towards it, you're probably going to come out of this video not very happy. I'm honestly a little bit sick and tired of people having the inability to show any sort of nuance when it comes to these discussions. It's either these games are the worst ever and everybody who likes it deserves to die, or the games are the best ever and anybody who hates it deserves to die. I'm obviously being hyperbolic here, but every time I discuss any issues about the game, like in my previous video where we discussed the lack of the switch and set option, finite TMs, etc., I'll get some really ignorant comments assuming that I dislike the game and hate Pokemon, or that I'm just entitled or whatever. You also get those that didn't watch the video, which I think are the majority of those types of comments, and then just make a comment based on the title or thumbnail, and you know, those are my favorite personally. Anyways, my point is that this video is for those that don't treat Pokemon like a political topic and are actually willing to listen to differing opinions, or those who maybe don't really know and are just hearing that the Nintendo Switch is a problem, because let me just say that's not necessarily the case, at least not holistically. Would the game run better on PS5? Yeah, probably, but so would most unoptimized games for the Switch. You can make the argument that the Switch has bad specs, which I would agree with you, but you can't ignore the fact that other similarly created titles are able to run much better on the Nintendo Switch than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and this is likely due to Game Freak's history of having issues with optimizing their games. I know a lot of Pokemon fans don't like to play anything but Pokemon, but if you take a step outside of your comfort zone, you'll notice that there are several similarly crafted monster taming experiences on Nintendo Switch that run much better than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet do. These games are not without flaw and would probably also run better on more powerful hardware, but the point is that these games don't have nearly the amount of performance issues, memory leaks, bugs, and you don't see guides all over the internet of people trying to justify the issues while also telling you to lock your TV at 720p or whatever. The obvious game that everybody points to is Breath of the Wild, which is an open world game with a much larger world than that of Scarlet and Violet, though it is easy to write that off because there are far less enemy types, whereas there's hundreds of Pokemon. But then you look at a game like Dragon Quest XI, where there are tons of enemy types, all with their own unique animations, and the game runs very smoothly. You also have something like Monster Hunter Stories, which features a semi-open world, something like you'd expect to see in Pokemon Legends, and while it has a lot fewer monsters that you can tame, each of these monsters is far more animated than what you'd see in a Pokemon game. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is sort of in that similar camp where it runs better than both Legends and Scarlet and Violet despite having much higher graphical fidelity, tons of monster types, and tons of animation. The same can be said for pretty much every game we mentioned too. The graphical fidelity of these games is much higher than Pokemon, and before you say, I don't play Pokemon games for the graphics, that's not the point I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to say that even though these games do have graphics that take more for the Switch to actually output, they still run better. And again, this is not to say that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are bad games and they suck and everybody who likes them is the worst, because like I said, I'm enjoying these games, but a large faction of the Pokemon community has a tendency to overlook any issues these games have and even demonize people who take issue with them. A good point someone brought up on Twitter was that a lot of Pokemon fans act like you're ruining their time by not enjoying the game or criticizing it, and if someone on the internet is saying a game you like isn't good, or even in my case, that they're just saying they're enjoying it but it has issues, then you seriously need to reconsider and reevaluate your entire outlook on life, because if that's ruining your capability to enjoy something, it's a little bit ridiculous. You can have actual discussions about these games without insulting people and without losing sleep over it. This goes for both sides. So while this video is a quick pushback to the idea that the Switch is the sole reason for Scarlet and Violet's poor optimization, the broader context surrounding where this notion came from is the actual root of the problem, which is essentially people looking for any excuse to justify certain decisions that are made with regards to Pokemon. Oh, they're a billion-dollar company and Pokemon has a bunch of different aspects to its franchise, so they need to rush out the games to maximize profit. Oh, they cut the decks in Sword and Shield because they remade the models, which wasn't even true, by the way. Oh, the game is for kids, etc. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm enjoying these games, and honestly, I felt like this since Generation 6, where a lot of these Pokemon games feel like they'd be a lot better if they just had more time to polish them. Some of the decisions made, like removing the Switch set battle style options, just feel like they went out of their way to do it as opposed to something they just forgot to add. But I do think if they had more time to focus on appealing to everyone, since Pokemon is not just a kids game, it's something that kids and adults enjoy, and other games that are considered quote kids games like the Mario franchise, the Zelda franchise, etc. still make solid attempts to appeal to their older fans as well, then we could just have better games for everyone. I'm starting to go off on a tangent, and this is sort of following up from my last video talking about how every time we take a step in the right direction, we also take steps in the wrong direction, but I think you guys get my point. Nuances unfortunately, are something that is sorely lacking in not just Pokemon, but discussions in general. And I find it very frustrating that you have to either be Team Pokemon sucks or Team Pokemon cope. And having any sort of opinion in the middle is taboo. I'm not even arguing that you should have a more middling opinion just for the sake of it, but what I'm saying is nobody is even making an attempt to try to understand the opposing side. I've seen so many comments of people saying that anybody who enjoyed the game is the worst, or anybody that has any issues with it is just a crybaby and these features don't matter and this and that. And it's like, do you guys lack the ability to empathize? Like, you do know that everybody's different and they look for different things, and what one person might hate, another person might love. I'm just here giving my thoughts and opinions, and I think that the majority of Pokemon fans that don't go on Reddit, Twitter, etc. and write essays about how much they either hate the game or hate the people that don't like the game probably agree with me. Anyways, all of that being said, stop being lame and actually listen to each other's praises and criticism, and try to understand where the others are coming from before you feel like that person's opinion is an attack on your identity. With that said, I do look forward to seeing everyone's thoughts and opinions on this matter, and I look forward to the people that didn't watch the video to this point that are still going to type something out that I covered in this discussion, because unfortunately that's where we're at. I will call you out in the comments if I see that though. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe for more monster taming content. If you're a fan of Pokemon, if you're a fan of games like it, this is a place to be, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.